Sharon Moore saying yesterday that he will announce his starting quarterback for week 1 in week 1.
Does that shock you?
No, but who are we kidding here? It's Bryce Underwood.
Right. Well, some of it may be yet to be determined by them. They want to see more at practice. Some of it is just simply you don't need the advantage over New Mexico, but
right.
You're not going to let your opponents know anything.
Well, what do you think they're preparing for? They're going to prepare
they're
going to
prepare for Bryce, but they'll also prepare a little bit for Mikey Keene.
I just think, first of all, it means nothing. We know who it's going to be, but you could empower the guy and go, yeah, Bryce is our dude. We're super thrilled with him in camp, and he's going to be our starter week 1. Game plan away.
And behind closed doors, they may have done that.
Yeah, I would think they would have. I mean, somewhat the decision's made when you hand a guy $10 million. Like, of course he's going to play the games. And he's got the upside. Like, let's go through some of the ups and downs earlier rather than later and let him learn.
Let's have some, if we're going to have some young issues, let's have it in 2025 so that in his sophomore and junior year, because he has to be in college for 3 years, let's make sure that we make those the most productive that we're going to have if he's that good and is going to be gone in 3 years.
Assuming it is Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
What is your expectation for Michigan football this season? The reason I ask, Sparty Radio did their MSU expectations yesterday, so we'll go high atop the blue wall and let you set the bar for Michigan. Valeni yesterday said, I want to know if I'm being unreasonable. He said 8 wins for the Spartans, need to beat someone with a pulse, need to make the program more fun. Can't just be this like boring blah of a program. Right. And he said it used to get 3 or 4 years. That's not the way it works in college football anymore. Michigan, what's the standard? What's the expectation?
So when you're talking about standard, you're talking about expectations for alumni, for fans. It's different than making a preseason prediction. This is what they'll be. Mm-hmm. The expectation, especially with 12 teams in the playoffs, you had your mulligan in year 1 with Sharon Moore. Now the expectation is that you are at a minimum a playoff team every single year, because there's going to be 4 teams, at least, from the Big Ten and the SEC that make the college football playoffs.
So let's talk about that. In the Big Ten, the big 3 are thought to be Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. I don't care the order. Those are the 3.
Right.
The fight for the 4th Big Ten spot, that's the conversation. It's Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. That's that next tier. And if you're Michigan, you better not be behind Indiana and Illinois, who, by the way, you don't even play this year.
Right, and so you mentioned those teams. The only team of those top tier of 3, and the other 3 that you mentioned, including Michigan, is Ohio State.
That's it.
And that's the weirdness of having so many teams in a conference. You had Indiana last year that basically ran the table. They lost to Ohio State. They were 11-1. They make the college football playoffs. Nebraska kind of has that schedule this year. They're setting up to be kind of the Indiana of last year. And because they play Michigan, they play Michigan State, but they don't really play. And both of those are at home for Nebraska.
Right. And Nebraska's another team with a soft schedule that you could maybe put in that tier 2 sleeper. Could they be the 4th team in the Big Ten? And Michigan will play them on the road.
Could they be the team that's unranked that makes it to the college football playoffs?
Yeah, we mentioned them as a potential Indiana, who's this year's Indiana. But if I'm Michigan,
the expectation is college football playoffs.
Yeah, and it may require 10. 9 could get it done, but that is the expectation at a place like Michigan. I would also throw a few more caveats in there, John, right? The offense has to look like an offense.
Oh, you mean they have to have forward pass as a part of the offense?
Yes, John. Yes. You bring in a new OC, you got this quarterback. He can't look like a bust. He may be a roller coaster, but as the season gets to the end, you need to go, oh, this is why he was the number 1 recruit in America. Oh, we have multiple downfield threats that we can capitalize on in this offense. Because last year it was everything. The quarterback play was bad, the receivers didn't separate, and the scheme didn't do them any favors. They didn't scheme guys open. The offense has to look like an offense.
It does, and so you go out there and you bring in the number 1 draft pick. That is Bryce Underwood. Mm-hmm. So you got some talent, unproven, underdeveloped right now. You got that talent at the quarterback position. You go to the transfer portal and you bring in Donovan McCulley. A big target at wide receiver. Some have compared him to a Nico Collins style of receiver. You've got the speed in Fred Moore. These are the things that you're looking at to say, can this offense be anything different than it was last year? The answer is yes, it has to be. The other thing is you brought in a coordinator that, in my estimation, and watching him in his previous stops, is competent. And that's Chip Lindsey, who you watched him develop and be a part of Drake May's development. He wasn't the original one, but he was there. And he was also there when they were calling plays for, hey, we want to highlight Drake May, but we also have Marion Hampton as our running back. Yeah. And we got to be able to, we have these weapons, and what did it look like? It looked very much like I would expect this offense to look like with Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall coming out of the backfield. The 1-2 punch of run first, that's what Michigan is and always will be. And then it is being able to throw the ball downfield for more than just 7 or 8 yards and actually getting completions.
So the expectation would be 10 wins, more than a pulse, some juice on offense.
Yes.
And it's always a beat Ohio State. Well, always that's the expectation.
So the expectation is college football playoffs. Some years it's going to be 10 wins. Some years it's going to be 9 wins.
But 10 for sure should get you in this year.
Right.
And 9, you're going to be, and like the block M and the brand, and depending on who you beat, maybe you still get in with 9. But 10, there's no debate.
No, and for the schedule, and it's going to be schedule dependent, because this year the 2 marquee teams that they play are Oklahoma and Ohio State. So if you go 10-2 and those are your 2 losses, you're probably still in the playoffs because you have the 10-2 and the block M. And it's a real thing. All right, yeah, I'm just going to say it is what it is. But if you have a 9-win season and you have losses to Oklahoma and Ohio State, and pick any one Nebraska of those other games, you're not getting in. That's just the facts this year.
And you shouldn't, by the way.
No.
I don't think they should if that's their resume.
So, yeah, the expectation is, and I agree with Mike for Michigan State, is the expectation is 8 wins because you have to take a step forward as a program. You're not going to get 4 years anymore as a head coach because of the transfer portal, because of NIL, because of rev share. All of those different things play a part in it because we've seen Indiana turn things around from bad to good.
Great point. We've
There's
seen
no excuses. Other teams do it. And so you've got to be able to go out there and attract them. What has Indiana done this year? Okay, they graduated a bunch of guys that came over with the coach from JMU. Now they've gone to the transfer portal again. They've brought in a quarterback. They've brought in some receivers. They've brought in some defensive players. We'll see what they are in year 2. I don't really know what that means for Indiana.
And again, it's a soft schedule. They're going to probably have to win 10+,
But for Jonathan Smith, you've got to show. One of the reasons they hired him is because he can develop, because he was going to bring a quarterback with him. Aiden Childs, 2nd year in the Big Ten, 1st year, eye-opening.
Great point.
Now you've had a chance to understand and look at the film, learn from that film. As coaches, you've got to call plays to give them an advantage, to give them a chance to be successful. And players, you've got to show improvement. You've got to show development. You've got to go out there and be better. If Aiden Childs is better, then yeah, I think they can be an 8-win team.
I agree with the sentiment that Indiana put more pressure on MSU because they brought in a bunch of dudes from JMU. Well, Jonathan Smith brought in a bunch of guys from Oregon State. Still waiting to see Jack Velling make an impact in this offense and some of those guys up front of the O-line. And hello, Aiden Childs. So you let us know expectations for Michigan and Michigan State. Guys in the afternoon said 8 wins and put some other caveats. The Michigan Standard, 10 wins playoff. Some caveats in there as well.
Yeah.
248-539-9797. And let me just say this before we get to the update. Clearly, we don't know what sanctions may come down from the NCAA. We can't do the show about what the sanctions are until we know what they are.
Right.
So, and I think even if they were sanctioned, the expectation would still be that you would play well enough to get in.
Yes. And if you're not allowed to play in the postseason, then so be it.
It's 97-1.